Hey everyone, this is Riddle Hacker AJ Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Hightown season number 2, episode number 2, which is titled Girl Power. And I'm not really sure if I'll be able to keep up with my weekly recaps and reviews for this show, but I just want to talk about episode number 2 because it's such a good show. You can watch it over on Starz, and I really enjoyed covering season number 1. I watched it. I did record my reaction review to the first episode, but then again, as I said, I couldn't find a way to rework my schedule in order to cover the first season weekly, and I think the same might happen with season number 2. It just is. But yeah, as I said, it's a very enjoyable show. It basically has a queer lead in Jackie. She's someone who wants to be a detective when it comes to finding out where all of these drugs are being brought in from, to the location and to Provincetown. And it's, again, as I said, I really don't know how to explain this show, but it's good. It's very good. It's well written. It has interesting cast of characters. But anyway, episode number 2, titled Girl Power. So Junior ended up dying in season number 1, which I wasn't expecting at all. And I like Junior as a character. The actor was giving me a very young Ben. Adam Sandler, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, the episode actually opens up with this dream sequence where Jackie, who's still trying to address her emotions when it comes to Junior dying, and she is basically having these conversations in her dreams with Junior, and she just wants to spend time with him because he was basically like a little brother to her, and she actually feels guilty that she couldn't help him when he needed it the most, especially because he ended up ODing. And Jackie has her own issues with the drinking and drugs, which she's trying to work on, and hopefully she'll continue to work on throughout this season. But yeah, as these two are talking, this is where Jackie also realizes even that she's having a dream, and yeah, they're tagging sharks, and a shark ends up tugging at one of the fishing rods, and Jackie is like, "You have to help me reel it in." And as she's doing that, Junior is nowhere to be found on the boat, and yeah, this is where she's like, I was having a dream," and she wakes up. So we cut to the school, and in the previous episode, these three kids that you can see on screen over here and over here, these three kids ended up ODing because they ended up taking these drugs that has a white shark tag on it. And of course, Alan has to be there. Alan is the guy over here, standing next to the rostrum, and Alan's there. He's addressing the students. Basically, Alan wants the students' help in order to figure out where these kids are getting their drugs from, because yeah, the authorities are having a tough time trying to figure out what's happening, especially because they kind of know that it's related to Frankie and his cousin Jorge, but they don't necessarily have the evidence, and they just can't barge into their business without evidence. And yeah, basically the drugs are being brought into the location from a different source, which the authorities don't necessarily know about. And as Alan is addressing the children about how they need to stay safe, if someone is trying to sell them drugs, they need to say no. If someone asks them to get high, they need to say no. And some of the kids try to be smart, because one of the kids is like, "Okay, so you want our help in order to find these drug dealers, but when you end up putting these drug dealers away, the kids just end up finding another source for their drugs. So how is that even helpful?" Basically, Alan is like, "You know what? I know that's an ongoing issue, but our aim is to make acquiring drugs tougher. So the more tough it is for kids to get drugs, then there's a higher chance of more kids not getting into them." And yeah, basically Alan is like, "Guys, I need your help. You need to help us." So we cut to Ray, and Ray ended up in the previous episode. I kind of felt sorry for Ray, but then again, I'm like, "Ray, you have to face consequences for your actions," because even though Ray is trying to work on himself as well, he has a drinking problem, he has a sex addiction problem. He basically doesn't necessarily treat other people right, especially women, even when he's in a professional setting. And yeah, it turns out that Ray has been hooking up with his boss at the bar. Her name's Gina. She's married, and again, as you can see, he is going down the spiral. Even though he worked on himself over the couple of weeks, I guess, yeah, he's unraveling. Things aren't working well for him. And Ray, I think Ray wants a relationship, something stable, because he's still trying to get over Renee. But yeah, Gina is just looking for something casual. So we cut to Renee, and yeah, in the previous episode we found out that Renee ended up her one of her periods ended up being delayed, and of course she's worried because she's like, wait, does that mean that I'm pregnant? And if I'm pregnant, whose kid is it? Is it supposed to be Ray's or is it Frankie's? So yeah, you know what? I'm worried about it too, Renee. I'm worried about it too. So Jorge comes in, and basically now Renee has to work for Jorge because Jorge is now the manager of the bar at Xavier's, and Renee is supposed to be the assistant manager. And yeah, these two don't get along, even though Renee loves Frankie and Jorge loves Frankie, his cousin too. There's this tension between Jorge and Renee, and I think that Jorge doesn't necessarily trust Renee, and that's something that these two will need to work on. And these two end up getting into this weird discussion, an argument over Daisy, one of the employees from Xavier's that Jorge is hooking up with, and Renee doesn't like that, and Frankie is like, you know what, we are not having this at the breakfast table. Eat and be cool with each other. So we cut to Frankie, not Frankie, my bad, Jackie. Yeah, she's just sitting there, and Leslie comes in. Leslie is basically Jackie's partner, working on these cases. And Jackie is basically someone who has experience patrolling the harbor, but she wants to be more involved in the drug situation. So she's basically here for, I think it's a 3 month trial period or something, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Leslie is like, I think seeing Alan talk to those kids, it ended up bringing up memories concerning Junior. Are you all right? And Jackie is like, yeah, I'll manage. Don't worry about it. So these two are in their civilian clothes, and they end up talking to Alan about how they're going to figure out where these drugs are coming from. And this is where Frankie is also like, not Frankie, again, Frankie, Jackie. Yeah, Jackie is like, I know that this has something to do with with Frankie and his cousin, so we have to go after them. And this is where Alan is like, wait. You're here on a trial period and you're already telling me how to do this job. There's a whole lot of tape that we have to go around. We have to follow these procedures. So he basically tells Jackie to chill and follow the protocol. And basically, Alan is like, you know what, we will get to the big fish, but first we need to find out these low-level dealers, and then we'll end up acquiring evidence, and then we can go big. And this is where Leslie is like, you know what, Alan, you're right. Jackie didn't want to step out of line, but yeah, I'm going to go and contact Sharon because Sharon is basically one of her contacts, Leslie's contacts that she's worked with before. So yeah, Jackie and Leslie are working on a case together, and in the previous episode, Ray actually warned Jackie about working with Leslie. So let's see if that amounts to anything. So we cut to Renee, and Renee is basically trying to calculate who got her pregnant, basically. And she is going through her messages with Ray, and it turns out that, yep, the night that she ended up hooking up with Ray, it tracks, and I guess the child is Ray's. And I'm like, is Renee going to keep Ray's child? I highly doubt it. Maybe she'll try to get rid of it. Who knows? Because again, Renee was trying, she was happy with the life that she had with Ray because she's someone who wants a more domestic life instead of all of this crime and drugs and strippers and whatnot. But yeah, Frankie is a different kind of guy, but Frankie has money and Renee needs money too. So she's like, you know what? I'm stuck. So a girl comes in and she's like, there's another woman who wants to talk to you about a hiring position at the bar. And Renee goes to meet this new character, and this is a single mother as well. And Renee and her, they bond over being single moms. And Renee is like, yeah, it's been tough, but now but now the father is back, so at least there's that. And the woman is like, yeah, my kid's father isn't coming back. I need this job. And Renee is like, are you sure? Because Xavier's, it can really suck you in, and you might end up working as a waitress, but you'll probably end up on the pole. And the woman is like, you know what? I need the money. I need this. And Renee is like, you know what? Okay, you're hired. So we cut to Osito in the prison, and yeah, Osito got attacked in the previous episode because yeah, Frankie and his cousin actually wants Osito dead, and Alan isn't offering a lot of help because Alan is like, you know what, Osito, you give me information, then I'll help you. I'll make things easier for you in prison. So Osito is in his cell, and we have this new character. I think his name is Johnson or Jackson. He's been here for like 10 years. or something. Oh, he's been here for a while, and I think in 10 years he's going to go free. And Osito is like, you know what? I would like to team up with you. Is there something you can teach me in order to make things bearable in prison? And the guy is like, you know what? I'm going to go free in a few months, so I don't want no drama. And you have a lot of enemies, so I don't want to get involved in that. So Alan is here to talk to Osito, and Osito is like, "So, what did you go over my recommendation, my advice, my suggestion about making things easier for me here because I want to be transferred from the cell?" And Lana looks like, yeah, I looked into it, but you have to give me information, dude. You have to give me something. So this is where Osito ends up telling Alan about a body that Osito ended up hiding back in season number 1. He actually blames the death of that person, the murder of that person, on Junior. And Anna's like, So you're basically telling me about a dead body that could be buried anywhere in the forest, and you're also blaming it on a dead person, Junior. And Osito is like, you know what, dude? I helped. So do with this information what you want. So we cut to Leslie and Jackie meeting up with Sharon, and Sharon has been like 10 days sober, and they need her to go and buy drugs from a guy named Doug. Because he possibly might end up knowing where the white shark tagged drugs are coming from. And Sharon is like, yeah, I'll help you. I think Leslie ends up paying her $50 for such a task. So Sharon takes them to Doug's grandmother's house because that's where he's operating from. And Sharon is like, yeah, I need to go in. I'll get the drugs for you. And Leslie is like, yeah, hurry up. And Jackie is like, you know what, Sharon? You've been sober for like 10 days, so let's make it 11. And Sharon is like, yeah, whatever you say. So we cut to Ray, and because Ray is trying to find some stability in his life, he's like, you know what, might as well go and contact my son, Nikki. And yeah, Nikki doesn't want anything to do with Ray, and Nikki is like, why are you here? There's something up because you just showed up randomly. And Nikki actually has a good read on Ray, because Nikki is like, you know what, the reason that you're here is not because of me, it's because it has to do something with you, and I'm not interested. And Nikki just drives off. So Leslie and Jackie are waiting for Sharon to come back in the car. She's taking way too long. She isn't replying to Leslie's text, and Jackie is like, you know what? Eff it. Let's go in. Let's act as if we're there to score some drugs, and you know what? Sharon might be in trouble in there, so let's go. And Leslie is like, but that's not protocol. Jackie is like, who the heck cares if that's not protocol? I'm tired of waiting. Let's go. So these two women, they end up going into the house. They end up meeting Doug, and Doug is like eating pizza, and Doug is like, "Hey, are you two girlfriends?" And Jackie is like, Leslie is like, "No, we are just friends." And a woman on the sofa, she ends up clocking Jackie. She's like, "Wait, aren't you the officer that ended up strip searching me?" Patted me down for drugs. And yep, their cover is blown. Doug runs away, but Leslie takes chase, and Leslie is able to apprehend Doug. And the entire thing, it really, I think, turns Jackie on. And I'm like, Jackie, I get that you're having a crush on Leslie, but I don't see this working out. So we cut to Ray at the bar. He's filling up the ketchup bottles, and a dude that Ray knows, I guess he was supposed to be an ex-cop as well. So he walks in, and he's actually disappointed seeing Ray working at the bar, and he's like, "No, that this isn't your life. So I'll give you a job as a construction worker. It's better than the job at the bar." And Ray is like, "You know what? I'll think about it." And this is also where I need to sneeze. Wait a minute. Okay, no sneezing. But yeah, the guy is like, you know what, Ray? I heard that you got me, dude. You were held accountable for your past actions, and that's not fair because the world has changed. People have grown more sensitive. They have grown more PC, and I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works. But yeah, I guess Ray is like, going to give this construction job a try. So Leslie and Jackie are talking to Doug. They ended up searching his grandmother's house, and they end up finding the drugs with the shark tags on them. And they're like, "Okay, Doug, where did you get these drugs?" And Doug is like, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't selling them. These were for my personal use." And Jackie and Leslie are like, keep on lying. So they basically put the heat on Doug, and they're like, "Doug, if you don't tell us where you got the drugs from, we're going to pin the death of those 3 teenagers on you. Do you really want that? Do you really want a manslaughter charge?" And Doug is like, no, I don't want that. So he ends up telling Jackie and Leslie that the guy, Coco, who was found dead in the previous episode, Doug's the one who shot him, and Doug's the one who ended up stealing all of the drugs from Coco. So with this information, Leslie and Jackie go into Alan's office, and Alan is quite surprised that Jackie and Leslie were able to put a close on Coco's death. And yeah, again, as you can see from her expression, Jackie is very, very impressed by Leslie, and Alan is happy too. And Alan is like, we are on the right track. So Leslie is like, we have to celebrate this, and Jackie is like, but I need to go and meet up with these ex-alcoholics with my Alcoholics Anonymous group for coffee. And Leslie is like, can't you ditch them? And Jackie is like, yeah, I'll do that. And I'm like, Jackie, no. But yeah, that happens. So Ellen ends up talking to his wife. She's driving. I think she also has their kid with him. And this is where Ellen is like, well, Osito told me about this dead body in the forest, but it could be a lie. If I do end up sending a search party there and they don't find anything, that I'll be the one who will look like a fool. And his wife is like, Ellen, you have to do this. Why don't you play the game with Osito? Maybe you'll find the body and then you'll be a hero. So it will be good for your career. And Ellen is like, you know what, babe? I'll do that. So Jackie and Leslie are bonding together over food, and Leslie is like, so you really don't drink, huh? And Jackie is like, no, I don't, because if I do drink, I don't like the person that I become. And this is also where Jackie is like, so do you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend? Leslie is like, I'm into boyfriends. I don't have a boyfriend currently. I was also married, but then I got divorced. And yeah, these two are bonding, and even though Leslie told Jackie that she's not into women, I'm like, yeah, Jackie still has a crush on her, and that really accumulates into something by the end of this episode. So Ray is having a tough time with the construction job. It's boring work because Ray is someone who likes the rush that you get to experience as a police officer, chasing down drug dealers and all of that. And yeah, the construction worker friend is trying to bond with him, and he's like, Ray, the boys and I are going to Xavier's. Do you want to go? And Ray is like, that's not a good plan for me, guy, or whatever the guy's name is, because again, Renee is there, and Ray is trying to stay as far away from Renee as possible. So we cut to the bar, and the new waitress is handing over the drinks to Jorge and Daisy, who are kissing and they're bonding. Jorge is really falling for Daisy, and this is where Jorge is like, you need to tell me something that you haven't told anyone. And Daisy tells Jorge about how when she was a kid, she was at this carnival, and she ended up stealing something, and she got caught, and the police officer interrogated her, and he was also a creep. And yeah, Jorge is like, you know what, I'll protect you from creeps. So Frankie comes in, and Frankie is like, yeah, we have a meeting. And yeah, Frankie and Jorge end up meeting Carmine. I think this girl's name is Carmine. She's actually responsible for the White Shark tag drugs going around, and she's the supplier. She's basically the one who has the drugs with her. I think she's working with her sister or younger cousin. I'm not really sure. But yeah, Jorge and Frankie want to work with Carmine as her drug dealers. They're the one who are going to give her a network to start selling these drugs. And as these three are talking, Renee walks in, and everyone stops talking, and Carmine is like, okay, so who's Renee? And Renee is like, I'm assistant manager here. And Carmine is like, okay, so you have an assistant manager here. She's also your fiance, and you don't trust her. That's why you don't talk in front of her. And Frankie is like, no, it's not like that. So he ends up asking Renee to sit for the meeting because he wants to show Carmine that Renee is a part of this operation. And this is where Renee, Jorge, and Frankie, all three of them work together in order to bring Carmine to their side. They entice her with getting to fly on private jets, drinking champagne and all of that stuff. And that works for Carmine. And Carmine is like, the high life, I might be here for it. So yeah, let's start working. So before she leaves, this is where Jorge and Frankie are like, wait, Carmine, we have a question. The person who ended up selling those drugs to the three kids who OD'd, who is he? He's working for you, huh? And Carmen is like, yeah, his name's Gumdrop. He worked for me. He ended up selling those kids those drugs, and I've talked to him. He won't do it again. And Frankie and Jorge are like, that's good. But we need to talk to him too. And I'm like, something's bad going to happen. And Carmen ends up, I guess she ends up giving them both the information that they wanted. So Alan is at the precinct, I guess, the police station, and he's talking to Doug, who has his lawyer with him. And basically, what Alan wants is he wants evidence that points something towards Frankie and Jorge because he wants to really get to them. And I really like the scene where Alan basically twisted Doug's words and implied that he said something about Frankie and Jorge, and that's all that Alan wanted. And Doug, yeah, I guess Doug's life is in danger. So Alan's very happy about how he was able to handle Doug, and this is where he's like, Jackie, Leslie, we're going after Frankie and Jorge. So I need a operations document by on my table by the end of Monday. I guess that's what he says, if I remember correctly. And yeah, Jackie is happy too because again, Jackie is someone who wants to avenge Junior's debt. And that's why she wants to see Frankie and Jorge behind bars again. And Alan understands that, but then again, as Alan said, they have to follow protocol, and they can follow protocol to get to Frankie and Jorge. And Jackie needs to be with the program. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them basically planning an operation to bring those two down. So Alan is at the forest where the other team is trying to find the body, and the other team's leader is like, we have been at this in the cold for a very long time. My men are getting tired. They want to get paid overtime." And Alan doesn't like his attitude. Alan is like, we are doing something very important here. We'll go home when we're finished. So I like seeing Alan being more assertive in during that particular situation. So Jackie and Leslie end up going to this romantic spot for a few drinks, and Leslie is like, "Why did you bring me here?" And Jackie is like, "Yeah, I used to come here with one of my girlfriends, and it's a very good spot." And Leslie is like, I've been here too." So this is where Leslie tells Jackie about the story about how she ended up saving a person's life who was drowning. But as she was trying to save that person's life, she felt like she was going to die too. But then the lifeguard came in, and yeah, she was able to survive. And she's like, "Jackie, are you a good swimmer?" And Jackie's like, I'm a good swimmer. Again, these two are bonding, and I'm like, "Oh, Jackie, you are falling for her hard." So Ray is back home. Nikki doesn't want to talk to him. He doesn't have his police job back, and he's still not over Renee. So we get to see Ray take out his cell phone, and he tries to text Renee about, I guess, still missing her, but he thinks the better of it. And Ray is like, I'm not going to message her, and he instead messages Gina and asks her if she's free to come over. So we get to see Frankie and Jorge in their car. They're waiting for Gumdrop. Again, I was like, they're going to kill Gumdrop, huh? And while they're waiting, this is where Jorge actually makes Frankie a bit suspicious about Renee. He's like, I am grateful to Renee for what she did and how she ended up manipulating Ray in order to get us out of jail. But do you really trust her? Do you think that she doesn't have any feelings for Ray? Is that over? And he just planted a seed of suspicion into Frankie's mind, which I think we're going to see start to grow in the upcoming episode. So they end up meeting Gumdrop, and they're like, "Hey, we are the ones working with Carmine now. We have a job for you right now." And Gumdrop was like, I know who you guys are, so I'm in. So they end up inviting Gumdrop into the car, and I'm like, "Gumdrop, boy, you're going to die." So yeah, they end up taking him on a boat, and this is where they ask, like, "Gumdrop, are you the one who ended up selling those three kids the drugs where that killed them?" And Gumdrop was like, I was at the mall, a girl walked up to me, and I closed the deal, I sold them the drugs, and yeah, they're dead. Whoop-de-doo, it happens. And yeah, Jorge and Frankie can't have these drug dealers dealing out drugs that actually kills people. So they end up slashing Gumdrop's ankle and dropping him into the ocean. And they're like, "Yeah, the sharks are going to get to you. You're going to die." And Frankie is like, "Okay, so how the heck do you operate this boat?" So he ends up putting the boat in reverse, and it ends up like the propeller ends up slashing Gumdrop. I think he's already dead because his arm just like is sliced right off. And yeah, Frankie and Jorge are like, yeah, just like old times. So you can tell that these two are crazy. They're dangerous and they're crazy, and they don't like loose ends. So Gina is at Ray's place, and Ray wants to hook up with her, and Gina's like, wait, let me relax a bit. So she brought over drinks, and she's like, "Ray, you need to drink with me." Ray is like, "I don't really drink," because again, he has issues that he's working on. And Gina is like, "Well, I don't like to drink alone, so start drinking." So I guess these two did hook up, and Ray did start drinking a lot because it's the next morning, and he wakes up inside his car. He doesn't know where he is. His cell phone's ringing. It's Nikki. Nikki wants to wants to bond with Ray, and Ray is like, I like that. I appreciate that. Can I talk? Can I call you later, son? And Nikki's like, okay. So Ray notices an empty alcohol bottle in his car along with a gun, and it turns out that Ray drunk drove in front of Renee's house. He recognizes the place and he drives away very quickly from there. And yeah, Renee is able to see Ray do all of that. And of course, she's very worried because she doesn't want Ray taking away the life that she's making with Frankie. And Frankie is awake a bit and he's like, what's that noise? And Renee is like, it's nothing, baby, just go to sleep. And I'm like, Renee, you possibly have Ray's child inside of you, so you need to figure this out quickly. So Sito comes back into his cell after talking to Alan, I guess, and or maybe it's the next day. I'm not really sure. So he comes back and yeah, I guess it's the next day. Again, I'm not really sure, but yeah, Osito is back in the cell, and he ends up finding this dead rat or mouse, I guess. It's a rat, yeah, a rat in his bed, and he's like, "Who did this?" He asks Jackson or Johnson, his cellmate, and the old guy is like, "I don't know. I didn't see anything, so don't get me involved." And yeah, Osito is very, yeah, he isn't happy about the living situation, so I guess he's going to snitch on other people in front of Alan. I guess that's exactly what's going to happen. Talking about Alan, Alan was able to find the dead body with the rest of the team, and he's very happy about it. And the guys are like, "Okay, so how are we going to ID the dead person without a face and all of that?" And Alan is like, "That's not my job, dude. That's not my job. That's your job. Do it." So Alan, because of the happy news that he just got about finding the body, he ends up calling Jackie, and he's like, "Jackie, I need you over at the station. We found a dead body." And Jackie's like, I'll be here." And the episode actually ends with showing that Leslie and Jackie ended up hooking up last night because Ellen calls her as well, and she's actually in Jackie's bed. And Leslie's like, "Yeah, I'll be over. I'll be over in a second." So yeah, Leslie and Jackie are a thing now, and again, Ray's warning, I keep on remembering Ray's warning, and I don't think that this is going to play out the way that Jackie wants, but let's see what happens. But yeah, this was Hightown season number 2, episode number 2. Girl Power. Again, a very enjoyable show. I highly recommend that you guys check it out. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. It has these very serious themes, and again, it's very well written. The pacing is very good. The characters are interesting, even if you didn't think that from my recap or the way that I was recapping and reviewing this show. But still, I highly recommend that you watch it. But yeah, if you are watching Hightown, let me know what you thought of season 2, episode number 2 down in the comment section below. Until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later.